And we are live. How are you doing, Sui?
Hey, I'm good.
Man,
Let's do
what?
this.
I just got a haircut and I'm trying to. A little bit.
I've got my blanket because it's cold. So
Yeah, you're in the dark as well, but
freezing.
I won't point that out. You're in the dark. Hey, now welcome, Sui, to the TC podcast. This podcast is for our students to encourage them to talk about what our history as alumni, top students. And
I don't know.
share out. I was a top student.
I don't know about me now. Yeah.
Share our experience, back at TC, what it was like for us, but also moving on because, our kids are going to move on soon at the end of this year or every year, kids move on. But I just want to encourage them on what to look for, if they can learn from us, they could save a few years of hardship or experience if they just listen to our, to what we said today. So thank you for joining in. Maybe let's start off with who you are and what are you doing on here?
Who am I? No, kidding.
So tell us about your background, and who you are for our listeners today.
Yeah, cool. So, talofa lava, everyone who's tuning in. So my name is Suivaaia Pritchard. So you probably would have known me as Tapu, as back in TC. So a bit about myself. South Auckland hard, being born and raised in South Auckland, moved from Mangere to Otara, and now living in Otara Heights now. No. So I have been, what have I been doing? Yeah, so Samoan, my parents are from Samoa, so all of us kids were born and raised here in New Zealand. So we're all doing different things in our lives, like in terms of work, study. So we've all been part of the Tangaroa College family. And yeah, so I think that's me in a nutshell. I've been actually youth worker for over 10 years now. So this year is my official 10 years of being a youth worker. So yay! And I'm just looking forward to being a part of this chat and hopefully get to inspire and motivate the students who are listening in. And you get to know me a bit more as I talk more throughout the podcast. So that's me. Anything else you want to know? Favorite food? Favorite color? No.
Sometimes if you just sit here, people just keep talking. So
what else do I could go on for ages, but I'm like trying to choose which ones I should.
Yeah. Our friend Soy loves to talk, and she's we try to limit her sentences, but nah, that's awesome.
Guys.
Yeah, your brothers went to TCA.
Yeah, and my sisters, yeah.
And your sisters, yes, that's right.
Yes, all of them.
To see hard. Cool. Cool. We'll just get straight into our first question. Hey, whānau, if you're listening, comment below, ask a question. We want people to have a listen and ask some questions of our friend Sui over here.
Morning, Samuel. He's saying morning, guys, to us, but yeah.
Yeah, so you push the button. Morning, guys. What's up there? Nice. This goes from back in my years, the golden years.
Bonnie. Yeah.
There's morning Sui from probably Mr. Marshy, but probably Mr. Marsh. Thank you for tuning in. Because my wife Sui is amazing.
Phoenix.
Marbury. Phoenix
is a legend. He's another legend there.
He's a Otara dancing legend, Marbury.
Yes.
Cool. We'll get into the first question, eh? So tell us about your experience at TC. When did you start? How long you were there? And
okay. How much time do I have now? Okay, so I've been at TC Tangaroa College since 2004. So I'm a 2008 graduate. And my experience at Tangaroa College, honestly, I've had the best years. Like, a lot of people talk about, like, I guess Tangaroa College, I mean, we usually have that stigma that TC is not really a good school, but honestly, I've had amazing relationships there. I've tried to get involved in literally everything. Like, obviously, this is a photo of us in Niue. So we were, I was in the Niue group for many years, even though I'm Samoan. A shout out to Candy, who is still my mentor today, one of my great mentors today. So, yeah, I was a part of the Niue group for 4 years, I think. Yeah, for 4 years since year 10. And I made my first trip to Niue, which you can see on that photo. And that was the first country I went to out of New Zealand. And everyone's like, what? You're Samoan? And I remember my mom saying, hey, are you a Samoan or a Niuean? I was like, I'm Niuean at heart, Mom. Don't worry. I'm Niuean at heart.
Means
Yeah.
Mashi Loco was saying that like 90% of the Niueans group was Samoan anyway.
Yeah, I think they needed our loud, our loud tones. But yeah, I joined many things. Like I was in the volleyball team, I was in the rugby team, I was like in nearly every sports team you can think of. Yes, that's our volleyball team. That's when we went to nationals. Didn't come, first place, but we made it. we made it.
What year was this?
This was 2007. I think 2007, 2006. So Virginia, she's one of the ex-students as well. So you can see her in the middle, Tina. So she was one of our volleyball coaches, Veta. Shout out to those guys, Veta. And we had quite a few other volleyball coaches, but Veta was one of our main coaches back then. For our boys as well. Oh yes, that's my mother. So
mum. Oh.
So everyone should know my mom. Back in our days when we had prize giving, my mom was the famous haka, Samoan haka entertainer of all times, and she will forever be that person in our family. So she always came to I think a lot of teachers always ask me, oh, is your mom coming? Is your mom coming? And I was like, it depends if we get awards this year. Yeah, so she was my mom. Yeah, my mom was that person who always, and a lot of you guys know this back in our years, was the one that will come and not shy and do her haka even by herself, while my siblings kind of hide in the back and then come up later, and my dad walking from the other aisle, the opposite aisle. So yeah, and I would say like Auntie Molly. Yes, Auntie Molly. I'm just reading some of the comments. Yes, and I think that's a good question. What do you think some of the challenges TC students, young people in general, have growing up? So being in South Auckland, being a student out in South Auckland, to be honest, like I think our main challenges back then was there was quite a few rivalry like with other schools. It was challenging for us sometimes because I used to walk to school, and there will be like some fight at the park at Dawson with other schools, and that's probably like a common thing back then. But I guess in terms of being a student, like an extra student at TC, I would say people always thought, okay, I was the good, like honestly, like they're like, she's a good student. I was involved in everything. And I must say I did. I can say I was quite a good student in terms of like listening to the teachers, like that way, like obeying what they're saying, doing my work, getting my work done. But to be honest, I think my learning experience was quite hard. Like I wasn't the type to study. Like I wasn't a studying student. Like I would memorize my answers for the exams, like the night before exams. I wasn't the whole, yeah, because I'm not like that type of learner. I was more like a visual learner. So I would, as most of you knew, a lot of you guys probably know I was in the art class quite a lot. So I was always in the art class. So doing my artwork, making sure my boards are done. I think the art class was one of the classes I always like, no, we're going to fight for this excellence award. Like there was always a battle who gets the excellence awards in the art class.
Yeah.
So.
And who got it?
Okay, well, I can say I got majority of the years, but there's another person who was also just as great. Her name's Renee. She's one of the twins. So she was awesome as well. And I also loved fabrics. I remember having my first ball dress was from fabrics teacher helped me make my first ball dress, which it wasn't for Tangaroa College, it was for another school. But yeah, I was quite a visual learner. I wasn't really like the study. And some of you students that are probably listening now, I wasn't, some of you are quite visual learners and that's okay. And some of us are quite the study people, which is also okay. And I think everyone has different types of learning. And then sometimes we make it that our journey, like being in South Auckland as a student, sometimes can be hard when we're around other students. So we go to different events and different opportunities as senior, because I was one of the deputy head girls as well at Tangaroa College. I forgot about that. And we got to go to different events. And I think sometimes we forget actually who we are in that spaces, because we're like, then we become this like trying to speak like this whole other language, like all these Decile 1 schools are, but I think there is a point of difference, especially when we're from South Auckland, because we carry our stories with us, we carry our culture, we carry who we are. Okay, it's getting a little bit deep now, but and yeah, as a student, like how do we carry ourselves and be our truest selves in those spaces? And I think some of us, because we go there, we spend most of our times in high school. Let's not forget that 5 days a week, like 8 hours of our day is spent at high school or at school. And how do we utilize who we are in those spaces? And sometimes I think if I was to look back at my learnings at Tangaroa College, one of my hope, like I know one of the questions was what were some of the learnings and what would I change or whatever, is that I wish I was able to be my most truest self there, because sometimes we can put a front on because we're so surrounded by so many people. And then you have the few who are like just like are good with their words and just like they can speak for themselves, but then they're the students. Then there's the students that can't speak for themselves, so they just follow through with whatever their friends are doing, what their mates are doing. So I think, and because for me, I would say friendships were such a key thing for me at high school. I made sure I was a part of different types of groups, but I still had my main group of friends who I'm still close today, and I'm still grateful for today. So I've got on a big as ramble at the same time looking at some of the questions here.
No, it's awesome how you talk about friendships in schools, because it's you hang around monkeys, you're going to be a monkey. That's just you hang around certain people, that's how you're going to be like. So it's important that you choose your friends wisely, because, man, honestly, I'm glad I hung out with the Samoans and the good Māoris at the time, the sporty crew. I kind of call them the sporty crew, because if I didn't, and there was another group of students that I could have hung out with, man, years later, bro, those were the guys that went to prison and stuff. And then went in for murder. He's a TC student. There's a couple of those students. So I'm glad that I was able to find good friendships in school and stay with those guys. No, that's cool. Sweet. We'll try to keep you on track.
Sorry, guys. I'm going all over the place. I'm a bit too excited to share my journey with you guys.
Yeah, oh, exactly. Yeah. We'll save that for your own podcast one day. We'll spend 5 hours about your. But no, that's cool, man. Some of those stuff. Being true to yourself is important too. Like, yeah, what you're bringing out is be true to yourself. Follow what you like. The teachers. Some people might push you in a direction, but if that's not you, then don't be that. Go to you, because you're the only one that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
We'll go on to our next question, and then we'll look at some comments. So when you left school, what did you wish you learned before you left school?
I saw Phoenix's question as well, to do with uni, because that is exactly what I was going to cover, especially with this question. I honestly wish I learned how to hand in assignments on time. And timeframes were something I think we weren't strong at back in high school, and hence that kind of I think really made it affected the way I was at high school, at uni. So I went to uni straight after high school, and that was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, damn, I wish I learned this at high school. I wish I learned this at high school. That was like the number one thing that kept coming to mind, like being prompt, like making it on time to classes, being able to ask for help. Like that's another thing. I think sometimes we just go about our work thinking that no one will recognize what, the struggle that you're going through. And I think a lot of our students just remember that it's okay, like to ask for help. And because when you go to uni, you're not going to get as much support. I'm going to be honest, as much support as you would have had at high school. Because the good thing about high school is you have a lot of teachers and mentors there you can go ask for help. But once you go into that space of uni, you have to grow up just a little bit, because there's only one lecturer and there's thousands of students, and you got to be able to find that confidence to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, because a lot of kids, like school kind of babies these kids, like hold their hands. That's a good thing, like we love our students and we want to do the best, and we want to get them over the line, but sometimes that's not really setting them up for the next scheme, which is sometimes uni, or even employment. Like if you baby them too much, they're not able to stand on their feet. So what do you think teachers could have done? Like, schools just set up how it is, and teachers are amazing. They love students, which is cool. But what do you think the teachers could have done to push back the work onto you? And
I think I know teachers have a big responsibility. Now that I'm a bit older now, and I'm reflecting back in high school, but I also wish there was a space for creativity, like in learning, especially for those who feel like academically like they're not fitted for that space for education in general. And but also those who were top students, like it felt like there was just one avenue, like it was like uni, but there is other spaces for people to succeed in. And I think I wish we had a bit more options, like or avenues, I guess, because I felt that uni was like one of them, like one of the main. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying there is way more, like there's other opportunities to utilize what we have, like and young people are creatives. Like young people are honestly the most creative people that I know. And I think I kind of wish teachers kind of helped explore that a bit more. That makes sense.
The kids to do it on their own, like research. Like once you get into uni, you are researching and doing it yourself and all the stuff.
Hard out.
I think teachers, no, this is assuming, so I actually don't know, but teachers just allowing like soft answers to be the correct answers rather than making students work for those answers, like Because once you get into uni, you're working for your answers. The old and sentences don't work in uni, and then again, like because
oh my gosh. That reminds me of my English essay. It's like 2 sentences in one. Like there's no like stops. There's just like blah 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 blah, and just no like not totally, and just being able to let us like, I think the learning thing, like a reciprocal thing, right? Like the student being able to do it for themselves, and then teachers are like just giving them constant feedback, like which I knew some teachers did that quite really well. Like shout out to Miss Tau Ilia. She was my favorite English teacher because she was like she can be the nicest person, and then she can be that person like, no, you're doing this. Like this is, she's making sure that we're doing our own work, or if we, and just like, no, you're redoing that. Like I remember I had to redo a whole speech because the grade wasn't good enough. Like for me, I was like, okay, you're redoing it, and I was like, okay. And that's good because then she knew that we could do better. Like, and I think we needed a bit more of that. Like, no, actually, you can do better. You're doing this again. Like, like that sort of thing.
Especially for South Auckland, we're a bit half pied. Like, oh no, that's enough. Like, we always told enough ones. Like when I was doing my enough. Oh yeah, that's okay. I'll just look it off. Like, but enough is. That should be the minimum. Like, not even the minimum. It should be like above that. Like we should be striving for stuff like that. Now that's cool, man.
Yeah.
What did you do when you left school? So so you went into uni. Where did you study?
And so I went to AUT. So I did spatial design. A lot of people were like, what's spatial design? So spatial design. Honestly, I was like, I didn't even know. Like when I first did that, I was like, what? Some of you knew that I was into the art space, and I couldn't get into the visual arts. I couldn't study that, so they took me into spatial design, which was a whole lot of things to do with like architecture, landscape, interior design. And I enjoyed it. It was hard. Like I will tell you, it was hard. I was like probably the 5% of Samoans that were there. And being surrounded by other cultures, and it was just a culture shock. Like I was, So went into that, finished. I didn't pass one of my papers, so I had to redo a what's it called, a semester.
Was that a degree, diploma?
Oh, it was a degree. And so I did that for 3.5 years. Couldn't get into the that industry. So I was at Peter Pitt. If you guys know Peter Pitt, I was at Peter Pitt. I was working there for almost a year during my last semester. So it's okay. You can work at those sort of jobs while you're studying. So I was at Peter Pitt for a bit, ASB. So I did like different jobs just to get me through, and just to help me because I had got a scholarship from TC to get to do these years at AUT. And then I kind of was jobless for 3 months, and then I was like, okay, girl, you better pray. so I was like, okay. So that's when I got the opportunity to go into the youth space. Even though I've been doing youth for many years, voluntary, I finally got into an actual, my first paid job as a youth worker at Mahitai Trust, which is a mental health kaupapa Māori service. Loved it. Loved all my years there. So I'm quickly going through. And so I was there for 4 years. And then I moved on to different spaces of youth work like Strive, Youth Law, which is a law community centre. And now I'm at Curative NZ, which is a creative agency, which I'm happy to talk about more further down. But later on. I've been doing and I'm also trying to do voluntary stuff at the same time because I love, I'm such a service person, so I love people and just reaching out to them. So thanks to yourself and Swanee, who have also given me the opportunity to also be a street leader for my street. and which is awesome. Like we're already on the roll with our Facebook page and trying to ensure that our communities are so safe. So I'm still doing that and doing other voluntary stuff for young people. Yes.
Question, because you can keep going and going, which is awesome. But what did you want to do when you left school? Because you went down the art pathway. That didn't work, and then you went into youth. But what were you feeling at school? What did you want to do?
I think, to be honest, I think one of the first things that came to mind was I wanted to be a designer. Wanted to either be an artist or a designer, like be a fashion designer. So it was different. But I'm still doing a bit of that creative stuff though on the side.
Yeah. Is that something you still want to continue?
Not really in that area specifically, but I'm also doing something on the side, which is a small business, slash business. So we do event styling on the side. So that's something that we utilize our creativity. So yeah, and I love doing that as well. So I love young people and I love being creative. So it's like two things together.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
My journey,
yeah, kids leave school and they want to do the art space, and art is, it's a bit hard to crack into, and like what you're talking about, because it's a different world, and like you have to have a massive open mind. But it's cool that you're using your creative spaces in different areas, like with the youth, and that stuff that you learn. It's not a waste of time, but it will definitely help you create different things within normal spaces. Yeah, which is awesome. No, that's cool to know, because I always think about like, what did you want to do at school, and then what are you doing now, and why did you go off a different track? It wasn't never a different track. It was just because you always loved youth, so that's normal for you, But it's funny how it's taking you this way, kind of like. That's awesome. Get into the next question. Maybe one or two of your successes. What are some of your successes?
Successes. Oh, sorry. I just fell. So one of them, I would say, and this has been, I think one of them is being able to be in this youth space for many years and lasting the course on it. Many times I'm like, I think I'm finished now with young people. But I think that I could say that's one of my successes, is being able to be in this space for many years. And my other one is just gaining a lot of networks, just being able to talk to people, just like reconnecting with yourself and with back to our high school and to people in the community, like community leaders, and just like grassroots people who are doing things for their community. And just meeting a whole lot of people that I would never thought or imagined. And then going to like places I would never ever had imagined because of the opportunities that I was able to get. So I feel like that's some of my successes in life.
Those courses that you've been into, like, they're pretty different too, and it's cool, like the law, because I remember you went into law and I was like, where is this going? But no, it's amazing. Like you go there, now you're in a creative space, like and you're doing the grants and stuff. What's that, foundational?
Foundational. So I volunteered there as well. So that's also been an opportunity, being the first group of Pacific young people. Okay, I'm still in that young category, guys. So we were the first group to pilot this pool of funding for South Auckland and for Pacific communities. So we were able to have a voice and make decisions at the table. So which I would never have gotten if we didn't continue those networks and relationships with other people. So that's cool, man. Many other things that have
I was cracking up when you went into those spaces. I was the law side, because I was like, hey, I know it's still you, but it was pretty different, but no, God and your life experiences take you to different places, and it helps you out, but it also helps out other people as well. We'll have a look at a couple of the the comments coming through, and then we'll go on to the last couple questions before we.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, legendary family right there. That's the Tapu family, eh?
Yeah, it's a Tapu family.
Lee, the bro Lee, and Michael.
Yeah, Lee's a legend. All of them.
Oh, you're all legends.
Yeah.
And your mum is a legend too.
Oh, my mom, my dad, everyone.
Just looking through the questions.
What made you change your career path? That's one on this.
He goes, she was in my basketball team. I reckon she's that good because I taught her. Their family was amazing at basketball. I'm just glad.
Best.
Yeah, I'm glad I had her in my team. I was like, oh, yeah, the man. Pass her the ball. She was a Michael Jordan back then. That's cool.
There's one that's what made you change your career path. That's from Scott.
Scotty.
Scott.
Board member. Yep.
So what made me change my career path? So, to be honest, I think it was mainly one because I couldn't get into that space, and I thought actually maybe that wasn't the space that I should be in at that time. Maybe there was a different path for me, and I guess that's hence like my faith really got me through to the next part of my career, which was youth. But also another thing which I always say is because I had mentors in my life, I had older people in my life that really believed in me when I was younger, at high school all the way till now, who really invested their time in me. So I thought if they could do that for me, I could do that for other young people, and hence why I'm still in this space, because I really believe that young people need that adult in that life that are cheering them on and being that cheerleader for them. So I really, a space where I can utilize my skills and be of value to the young people. So that's why I feel, and I just think I'm more happier in that space too. Like I just feel when we see changes in young people and the differences that we make, like all of us who deal with young people, really keeps you going, and I think that's why I haven't stopped. So
no, that's awesome. I knew you were gonna do youth work. Like you were always good with people. Your whole family's like good with people. Hey, that's just like, man, it's like that's why I wasn't surprised. But man, I didn't know you went off and done art. That's why it's surprising that you went off and done art. Like I didn't know you had a passion for art and stuff like that. But I knew you were gonna do youth, but I didn't know about that. But
yeah, that's interesting, eh? And I think I get that a lot from my dad as well, my mom and dad. So my dad was a social worker for many years at SIFs, so he was there at Mount Wellington. So I think we get a lot of that from them as well, being in the community.
Awesome. So what are you doing now? So tell us about your role at Curative, because I know you got opportunity for our students, if you're listening. If you're not,
okay, students. Let me tell you how I got to America. No. So, again, this is a crazy story, which is, I can say that for another time, but I was given an opportunity to work at this creative agency. So they're all about inspiring social change. And they're just awesome. They're amazing. And I'm one of the project coordinators there, working on a specific project called The Movement. And if you're interested and want more details about The Movement, I'm happy to share that with you.
Share it
now. Oh, okay. I'm sure now. So The Movement is a project that we're working on that is specific to a group of young people who feel that the systems don't work for them, like school hasn't worked out for them. They feel like they don't have a career path, or they've always dreamt of doing something. They have something creative in them, but there is no space for them to have that outlet, or I guess to express that. And so this space, it's for the ages 17 to 20. So please message me if you're interested, and I can tell you more about it. Okay, I'm just like fobbing everywhere. Fobbing out all over the place. No, but yeah, and our team, and yeah, so that's the main project that I'm working on is called the movement. And so we've already got more young people on board on this, and we're just gathering insights and seeing what types of young people they are, and I guess how do we work with those insights that we've gathered, and how do we move forward from that, which is really exciting. Like there's so many creative opportunities that are already coming out of this. But I'm still looking for a few more. So a few, and especially for males, because we have quite a few, we already got quite a lot of females. But if you're male and you're 17 to 20 and you feel like this is something that you want to check out, I'll be so interested to connect with you. And we'll go from there. So, and of course you get paid for your time. So you do get something out of it. If you're like, oh my gosh, not one of those things again.
No, that's cool. Like I think the cool thing about it is that like you can be part of a team of young people who wants to try and make a change, whether that's a small change in the neighborhood or small or bigger change in policy or anything across that line. You're able to be part of a team that can do that with the support of Sui and the creative team. So if you want to hit her up, you can hit up, message us on the Tangaroa College Careers Facebook page, message us, and we'll pass on Sui's details to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We have a question, but we probably don't have time, eh?
What's the question? Who's that one from?
How would you change the youth of today's mindset when they hear, what is this? How would you change the youth of today's mindsets when they hear the word volunteer? Coming from South Auckland, we struggle, and when the youth of today hear volunteer, they turn the other cheek and look for other opportunities, like the easy option out, sort of. I'll give you a quick answer. And honestly, don't worry, we get that all the time, like, oh, volunteer, like for free. Yeah. I guess it's really in the language. What I've learned is how we get them on board is really important, and through the words that we use. So I think with and when I say words, meaning like how do we ask them is really important. And building a bit of relationship. Like kids will come to things that they know, like, oh, they're like, I know you, like I'm gonna come. But and so at this stage, I feel like they want to feel that connection first, like they can feel that they trust you, or they've seen you do these amazing things, and they're willing to be a part of that, and their friends are a part of it. So bringing their friends along as well is another thing I feel is important.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, one more thing is the value. So if we are not valuing them as a person, they won't value the things that they're going to be a part of. So I think that's another thing, is how much value do we put on these young people when we ask to volunteer? So it's looking after them. What are the things that they're going to get, during that time? If it's not money, what else? What other things?
For me, volunteering, like opportunities come from volunteering. Like if you volunteer, you give your best. You never know what would happen. Like I was just talking to a friend 2 nights ago. He volunteered at this this project out in Manirewa, just for 1 day, and then the next day he got offered a job. Like those are the blessings of volunteering. Like even me at the work that me and my wife do.
Yeah,
man, we started with nothing. Like we just used our own money to try to start these Christmas lights on our street. Like, put some money. We had some mates. Oh, bring any cash. They threw some cash our way. We started just with only a few lights. It wasn't the best. But volunteering, just giving it a go. Now look at Cooper Cres. We on the map.
Let's go.
But it was because we volunteered. We done that little simple act of volunteering, or just wanted to give our time. And so young people, give your time. You just never know who you could meet. Like Sui's well connected. You know, she's starting to get into those spaces where she can hook you up, but she can't hook you up if she doesn't know you. I can't hook you up if I don't know you. So it's about being in those, volunteering your time, and you just never know what can come out of it. And like, the volunteer stuff we do now is crazy, and it just started from, oh, bro, should we do a meeting with our neighbors? You know, it started from that, and this was like 30. Oh no, that was 7 years ago, and now what we're doing now just from the act of volunteering. Hey, we'll come to the last question, and then that's us. I know my wife wants to ask a question.
Yeah.
She was trying to take over these podcasts. Things like that.
Swally, nice question. I think I saw it.
Yeah, if there was anything you could recommend to the careers department to improve as there is a new team now, what would it be? How helpful was careers to you when you were there?
I wasn't really in the careers department, but when I came back to share to the careers department with Brian Marsh, I think it's one of those things that needs a lot of, I don't know what it is, because the students there back then were like, I think they just chilled in that room. No, I'm kidding. Jokes. No judging. But I think there's a lot of opportunities already out there. Like, you know, we have like the expos, we have all those things. But I think this would be the best time to start mentoring them through the stages of transition. So transitioning them and connecting them to like, come and sit in a lecture room, like come to uni and sit in a lecture room for like 1 hour and just start taking them out and experiencing what it's like in that space, and that people like them that do hang out at the careers like department or room can actually be in those spaces too, not just the people that are the high academias, whatever, but and I think they are also the ones that will probably be in that space and that people had doubted. So I think what I would help improve was taking them to those spaces, like physically, and putting them there so that they can experience it for themselves, unless they're really doing it. But I think having guest speakers is cool at a point, but once then hey guys, at a point, but then they're like, that's their journey, like, which is cool. But at the same time, when you put them in a different environment, when you place them in spaces that they see themselves in, then they're like, okay, that's a seed planted. So I think,
cool.
That end. No.
Going into my last question, just because I like to start.
Crack up.
What are your life hacks for students going into the real world of life?
One thing I can say is just what you have learned at high school. Like, to be honest, some things I'm like, probably I learned 10% of the things I took with, but what you keep, you should value. Like, if it's your relationships, value those relationships. So if it's one thing I could just drop, would be that, and nurture those relationships, because it will take you a pretty long way, and getting you through some doors that you wouldn't have thought of. But also, it's okay if you are at a place in your journey that you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's all good. Like, because you will never be in that place forever. You will actually come out of that place. So be okay with where you're at in your journey, but don't stay there. But don't stay there. You can move on from it. So yeah.
Awesome, man. We'll look at some last comments and then that's us, see?
Yeah.
Heaps of people.
Thanks, guys.
Loko or Tamaluto. Do you have any posters we can share on TC Facebook pages with info? So send that through to us, Sui, to Tal and all of us, so we can put it on our pages. I think you have.
I have. I have Marsha and Tīnira porora.
Mr. Tusini Rex with the awesome dialogue.
Oh, thanks, Carl.
Yeah, good chat today. Volunteering also builds their confidence and encourages them to help others.
Yeah.
No, definitely, man.
Totally.
Mr. Volunteer man himself, Mr. Scott Tulua, volunteering a long way.
That's
man,
how I started. Through volunteering.
That's how we met Scott and them.
Yeah.
All through the community stuff, but then, bro, we'll build good friendships with them just through volunteering. No, they're one of our go-to people, so definitely volunteering stuff.
Yeah. And you can add it to your CV as well for those kids that don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for your CV because people see the heart of what you do. Like when you go to interviews, they're like, "Oh, you volunteer, like you're a giving person," sort of thing. So,
is this Shana back in your days, Shana?
Shana Awe. Oh, this is
Tua's
brother.
Oh, I haven't seen this guy.
Oh my gosh, Moses.
Bro, he was the man basketball player, man. Like he was, he just didn't pass the ball, but but yeah, that's us. Thank you guys for listening.
Awesome. Thank you.
You Sui for coming on. It's been an awesome chat. Love what you're doing. Continue to do that. Continue to be with us, TC. I'm looking for ways to encourage our kids to again go into spaces, different spaces, volunteering, working, anything like that. So yeah, if you're listening and you can help our students, get in touch. If you want to be on this podcast, let me know. I really want to chat with everyone and anyone that can input into the lives of our students. But thank you all for listening. Any final words, Sui?
TC hard now. No, okay. Relax. Yeah. Just thank you so much for this opportunity. And I know that the youth will really value what you're doing, T and Mash, and your team. And I'm so excited for what you're going to bring as well. And congratulations on your new role at Tangaroa College. So all the best. You got this.
This was supposed to be 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, but because I knew she's passionate about what she did, I allow the trust. But hey, good stuff for our kids, you kids, students, listen in, and yeah, TC for life.
For life, TC.